Hey there, and good evening. It is Monday evening, 8 p.m. Central Time. It is the Megan and Ryan Power Hour once again. Ryan here with you guys. Thanks for joining me. Megan is around the corner there. She is still kind of taking it easy a little bit. Thank you guys for joining us. We do appreciate it. If you guys are joining us live, make sure you drop that hashtag live. If you have anybody watching us on a replay, drop the hashtag replay. And as always, if you have any questions during the broadcast, feel free to go ahead and drop those comments. Even if you're watching on a replay, drop your questions in the comments. We'll be happy to go back and answer those as well. So again, welcome in. Good Monday evening. Actually, just about 30 minutes ago, I wasn't sure that this was actually going to happen. As always, the life of a parent, especially with little children, we had a little bit of an issue, and I thought we may have ended up having to actually go to the emergency room, but thankfully we did not have to. A little bit of bandaging up at home, and we're all good. But as you guys know that are out there and you got parents, or that you are parents and you got children, you know how any time, any moment, things can change. And that's what I absolutely love about the fact of what we do, for the reason that I can do pretty much anything. I can drop things at a moment's notice when somebody's got a scrape, a scratch, or bleeding just a little bit, and we got to take care of things. So it's wonderful to be able to do those things and have the ability to take care of things when we need to. Take care of our family, right? Take care of our family when we need to, do the things that we need to, and not have to worry about, well, do I need to take time off of work? Do I need to take vacation time? Do I need to take sick time? What if I don't have any time? We don't have to worry about those things, and that's absolutely wonderful to be able to do those things. So, again, thank you guys for joining me. We're kind of rushed here to get everything to go for the broadcast tonight. So, again, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free to drop those in the comments. Usually on Mondays we talk a little bit about Mindset Monday, and it doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. It doesn't matter if you're beginning, if you're just starting, haven't started, maybe you've been in this for a few months, maybe you've been in it for 2 to 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe even a year. Who knows? There's a lot of people out there, different places within their journey, and mindset is always something that we talk about. And you guys have heard me talk about this before. Mindset is 80% of what we do. 80% of what we do is mindset. 20% is actually technical stuff, building our funnels, sending out emails, creating content, things like that. But when it comes to that everyday grind of showing up and working in your business, it takes that mindset. It takes that ability to think through some things, to make sure that you're in the right mindset to do the things that you need to do. And it looks like, hang on just a second there, Sandy is joining us. Thank you, Sandy, for dropping that hashtag live. Appreciate that. Also got another Facebook user, I don't know who it is, that dropped me the hashtag live. Thank you for joining us. For those of you that are new with us, we do use Restream and Ecamm. You will find the links on our comments to all of our events that we post for our lives. And if you click on those links, you can actually allow Facebook and Ecamm and eStream, all these things that we're working with, to go ahead and see your usernames and profiles. He says, hey there, Ryan Hobbs, it's Rich. Thanks for joining again, Rich. Appreciate it. I know Sandy, Rich, you guys are here with us pretty much every time we do our lives, and we absolutely love you guys' support. And again, we're here for you guys. We want to make sure that you guys are doing what you need to do to succeed in your businesses. Many of you know that we are part of the Wealth Warriors, and we do our show, Rise with the Wealth Warriors, on Thursdays as well. So, we are here for you guys 3 times a week. We go live, twice with the Megan and Ryan Power Hour and once with the Wealth Warriors. And it's all about answering your guys' questions, working with you guys. Megan and I, we've been working on a few things here over the last probably about week or so, in between getting ready for the new baby and everything, the time that we do have, right? We are working on some different things to be able to bring out to you guys. We want to bring out more support for you guys. We want to bring out more help to you guys and try to figure out how that's going to look for you guys. Whether it's in our Facebook group, Affiliate Income Strategies and Secrets with Megan and Ryan, or whether it's through these lives or whatever it is that we can do. We want to make sure that we're here for you guys. For those of you that have joined the program that we promote and, are part of the program, that high-end coaching program that is helping so many people go from 0 to 10K in 90 days. If you're a part of that program, you know that we have our coaching session tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Time. We do that weekly for all the people that come into our program. It's basically a bonus for people that come into this program, into this high-end coaching program, and it is weekly lifetime coaching where we get in on a Zoom call and we dive into our students' businesses, into their Facebook profiles, into the content that they're creating, into the messages that they're having. All these things are very important parts and pieces to our business and help us succeed. So again, hopefully you guys are working in your business. Hopefully you guys got some questions. I do need to drop a comment here right quick. Let me get that taken care of. I'll say that. If I can get it to refresh for me there. May have to have Megan do it. Nope, there it goes. All right, awesome. Just got to drop a quick comment in here. So one of the things that I was trying to figure out what to talk about tonight. We're always trying to figure out different things and mindset things and what to talk about. One of the things that I really wanted to talk about is what we are programmed, how we are programmed when we're growing up, and what it is that we are taught as we grow up, and I'm going to say the restraints that are kind of put on us as we are brought up and as we are taught how to live and how to do things. I saw a very, very interesting video just today, and some of you may have seen it. I think I saw it on Facebook. It was a reel or something, and it was a Steve Harvey video, and it really kind of hit home with me. And I kind of want to talk about the story that he talked about, and I'm hoping I don't butcher it up too much. But basically, what it comes down to is he was talking about a flea. Yeah, I know. Go ahead, laugh it up. He was talking about a flea. And how a flea has a 36-inch vertical. Okay? A flea has a 36-inch vertical. What that means is a flea can jump from the ground up 36 inches. Now, why is this important? May not be to many. That trait, that ability to be able to jump that 36-inch vertical is inherent of a flea. They're born with that ability to be able to do that. Now, if you take that same flea, and let's just say we put him in a jar, the first time that flea jumps, it's going to hit the lid. It's going to hit its head, it's going to hit the lid. But what it's going to do is it's going to adapt to its surroundings. And eventually, it's going to jump, and it's going to know that when it jumps, it needs to jump just this much less than the height of this jar so that it doesn't hit its head. So at maybe 5-6 inches. And it trains itself to be able to do that so it doesn't hurt itself. Now again, I know many of you are out there watching going, why are we talking about fleas and jumping? If that same flea that's in this jar were to have baby fleas in this jar, guess what? Those baby fleas are born with that ability, that same ability to have a 36-inch vertical jump. But because they're born in that jar, they only learn to be able to jump that 5 or 6 inches, just enough to not hit their head. And why is this important? I got to thinking about this, and I thought about how I was brought up and what that meant for me in my life. And why the hell was Steve Harvey even talking about fleas? When he got to the end of it, he talked about those fleas being born inside that jar and having to adapt, going from the ability, the inherent ability to be able to have a 36-inch vertical to now only being able to jump 5 or 6 inches so that they didn't hit their head on the lid of this jar. Because that's what they were taught. That's what they were shown. So having the ability to do the things that we want to do We have to learn how to do that. If we were brought up a certain way, if we were taught a certain way all of our lives that you had to live a certain way, then it takes that ability to be able to reach out and reprogram ourselves to see what we are capable of, to see if we are truly capable of that 36-inch vertical when we get out of that jar. But how do we get out of that jar? How do we break out of that? That's why we turn to online business, and that's why we have turned to the different strategies that we have, the different lessons that we had. I wish I brought it over here because, I've told this story many a times. When we first got started with this, a lot of it started with just one simple book. It's The Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and I know a lot of you have seen this book, read this book, heard this book. This is the thing that really kind of turned it around for us, and when I first started reading this book, and I've told this story many a time, that Megan actually thought that there was something wrong with me because in all the 10 years that we had ever been together, she had never seen me read a book. And in our very short journey of starting affiliate marketing within the first couple of weeks, I was so to a point of I need to make something work. As many of you know, I'd lost my job a few months before this, and I knew that if I really truly wanted to make something work, something other than working for someone else, working a 9-to-5 and having a life that I could really truly call my own, the things that I was watching and seeing, the videos and all the reading that I was doing online, and the stuff and the people that I was talking to and seeing about, hey, you can do this and you can make money through affiliate marketing, I was eating it up. And I knew when somebody told me that I was looking up to and saying, hey, you really need to read this book. You need to read this Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is going to change your mind on how you think about not only money and finances, decisions that you make, opportunities and risks, and all these different things. So I'm like, you know what? At this point, I'm all in. I want to see what's going on here. I want to put myself, I want to immerse myself in all of these things. So when somebody told me to read this book, I said, okay, Ryan, let's do it. Even though I hated to read, I wasn't a big reader. Like I said, this was, 10 years into the relationship that Megan and I had, and I never picked up a book. So I decided, hey, I'm going to do this. I go get the book, and I come downstairs, and I'm reading this book, and, Megan comes down the steps, and she looks at me, and first thing she asks is if I'm okay, if I'm feeling okay, because, again, she's never seen me pick up a book, really, and read. And I always make the joke that sometimes I think that maybe she didn't even know that I could read, because that's how few times I'd ever picked up a book. But when I started to read this book, and it changed how I thought of things, and then I'm like, hey, Megan, you got to read this book. You got to read this book. And the only reason I was so excited about it is because I was like, look, I've read it, and my mind has changed a bunch on what it is that I think we should be doing. And I knew that if she didn't read that book, we would never be on the same page, and things would be very difficult for us to change our lives. Because, again, I was 40 years old at this point in my life. She was 34. We had to figure out all those years that we'd been taught a certain way. This book was showing me something different. So we both read the book, and that's really what started our journey. And I'm not here to push a book on you guys. I'm not here to do anything, but I want to show you how that simple little change can make a difference in your life. And I wish I'd brought it over here, because just tonight I was back at the bookstore. I find myself going to the bookstore more often now over the last couple of years. I've read more books in the last 2.5 years than I probably had the rest of my 40 years of existence on this planet. But I've learned that by picking up these books and reading them and learning and figuring out how others are doing this, how others are finding the success, how others are living the lifestyle that I want to live, how they're doing it, and how I can do the same. And it all comes back to learning, hey, I am capable of that 36-inch vertical. I just got to figure out how to do it. Have to figure out how to break free from everything that I'd been taught all my life. That this is what you have to do to survive. And I knew that necessarily wasn't the case, because I saw other people doing these things, and I knew that there were other ways. I just didn't understand how to do them. And so by reading books, by putting myself out there, being willing, being able to learn what people are doing. That's really what's kind of changed my life and our life and given us the opportunity to do the things that we want to do. And so again, I talk about this because it is such a huge factor in people getting started with things. We get tons of questions every day on how do I get started with this? Ryan, how do we get started with this? I had a conversation this morning actually in a store. I know if Megan was here, she'd be laughing at me. She did earlier. But again, many of you know me as the introvert that I am. I don't like talking with people in public. Now here in camera, on lives, things like that, yes, I have the ability. I can talk. I'm more comfortable with it because I enjoy talking about these topics. But today, I was at Home Depot, just kind of checking some stuff out. Didn't really need anything. I just stopped in there to just kind of, spend a little bit of time before I had to go pick up the kids from school. But I ran into an old friend. And I hadn't talked to this friend in pretty close to almost 10 years, really. But this old friend of mine actually asked me about what it was that I was doing. They'd seen me. He's like, man, I see you everywhere. He said, I see you on Facebook. I see you on TikTok. I see you on Instagram. He goes, every time I open something up, there you are. And so we led into the conversation of what it is that we do and how we help others and how we got started in all this stuff. And before I knew it, 30, 40 minutes had gone by. And I called Megan as soon as I got in the parking lot and kind of told her, I'm like, hey, you'd be proud of me. I actually saw somebody in the store that I knew and actually ended up spending 30, 40 minutes having a conversation with them. And she was a little bit shocked because normally that's not me. That's not what I do. But because it wasn't small talk, I had a purpose. I had intent of what the conversation was about. And so we talked about it. And again, we get people just like this old friend of mine that we talked about today, that we talked to today, or that I talked to today. There was a purpose, there was intent. He was wanting to know. He's like, hey, man, how's all this stuff work? I see you doing it. How does it actually work? And so we get those kinds of questions all the time. We get, how do I start? And James Dwayne, hang on just a second here, he says, find the cursor here, there it is. What's the name of this book called, man? Hang on just a second. James, here it is. It's Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Okay? And again, this is the book that kind of changed our lives. But people ask us every day, Ryan, how do you get started? What do I need to do to get started? And even though I know that they have an idea of how to get started, because this isn't like this is the first time we've put stuff out there. We've got links everywhere. I promise you. I've got links everywhere. My Facebook profile, Facebook group. We got 2 Facebook pages. I've got links and profiles in TikTok and Instagram. Our links are everywhere. And if you click on our links, one of the first things it says is, hey, if you want to get started, click here. So I know people know that they can click on our links and they can go check out videos and they can check out these pages that we have on how to get started. But how do you truly get started with this? This is not something new. This is not something that has just come about, that this is, we have people reaching out to us that said, hey, how do you get started? We get that. We've gotten that from day one. And our path has gone down many different roads as we've done this. We started out with paying $7 to go through a very small course that kind of taught me a little bit more about what affiliate marketing was and how you can do it. And it really was a lot of mindset stuff, which was very important. Because as I said earlier on in the broadcast, mindset is 80% of this stuff. As we went through our journey, we got to a crossroads where we were put with an option to purchase a course. And at first I was like, well, man, I don't want to buy a course. How do I know this stuff's real? How do I know this is going to work? I didn't. Had no clue. I knew that by reading this book, the opportunity was before me. And yes, it was a huge risk. Being somebody that had been out of work for over 5 months, I'm sitting here looking at a price tag of $2,500 for a course. Well, how the heck can I do that? I haven't had a job in 5 months. Trying to support a family of 5. Megan's still working, thankfully. How in the world are we going to be able to afford this? Is there a way that I can do this? Kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit because I was excited. As many of you, I'm sure you've seen a lot of different things. You get excited when you see the opportunities that are there, and you get excited about them, and you think about what could be. You see people talking about, how they're making $5, $10, $15, $20, $30,000 a month. Oh man, if I could do that, that'd change so much for me. That'd change my life. Man, I'm excited. I really think I can do this. And then boom, you get a price tag dropped on you. Well, darn it. If I had that kind of money, I wouldn't be on the internet looking to figure out how to make money. Those are the thoughts that went through my head. Like, how dare this person sit here and offer up his knowledge that he has for me to be able to do what he's doing and be successful. I got to buy his knowledge. But then I got to thinking about things, and I started looking at different things, and I'm like, you know what? I paid to go to college. I paid for college professors to teach me something on what I could potentially be and do. Okay, so how's this any different? Why am I mad at this guy because he wants to charge me to teach me how to do this? I shouldn't be mad at him. I think what it is it's different. And for me, as I looked at it, it was different. It was not what I was used to. I grew up all my life knowing that you pay to go to college so that you can get a degree and hopefully get a good job. And many of us know out there now that times have changed to where just because you pay to get a degree on paper doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to pay off in the long run. There's so many people out there right now that are just so in debt. I know it's a huge topic right now with school loans. It went into huge debts to go to college to get that degree. And they come out on the other side with a mountain of debt and not very good prospects for a job. Or even if they do get a job, it's going to take them years to pay that debt back. Why is that okay? But when somebody is offering something on this newfangled thing called the interwebs, say, hey, if you really want to change your life, you want to do something different, here's the knowledge, here's the education that you need. Let's do this. Yes, I get it. There are people out there. There are scammers out there. I've seen some. I've talked with some. I get it. It's a risk. But are you not telling me that paying tens of thousands and for some people hundreds of thousands of dollars for a college degree wasn't a bit of a risk? I know that there's some colleges out there that we could pretty much call it a scam. And I'm not here to debate, this whole school system and everything. I just want people to understand why it is we do what we do. When we say, hey, you really don't want to freebie your way through this, it's not because we're trying to grab as much money as we can and run. We're still here. We're still helping people. Like I mentioned, I got a coaching call tomorrow. We usually have anywhere from 40 to 60 students show up on these coaching calls. Sometimes they last an hour, sometimes they're 3 hours. Because I'm trying to help others understand how to do this so that they can be successful as well. But it all comes back to the people that are trying to get started. And I know that many of you here that are watching the live with me tonight, you've already gotten started, and I applaud you for that. Congratulations. it takes a lot to take that action and get started. And so congratulations to you. One of the things that I was talking to my buddy at Home Depot about today, he said, Ryan, he goes, I'd like to really do kind of what you're doing here. He goes, I see what you're doing. I see that you're successful. It's awesome. He goes, shoot, here it is. You're at the middle of the day, just kind of hanging out, waiting to go pick up your kids. He goes, that's what I want. He goes, my schedule allows me to pick up my kids and do the things that I want to with my kids. He goes, but I've chosen to basically have a job that pays me less because the hours are great so that I can spend the time that I want to with my family. But the problem of it is whenever I coach them and I do these different things that I want to do with them, man, it costs money. And everything's going up here lately. Because I'm struggling to do it, but I do it. He goes, I see what you're doing. He goes, I would love to be able to do something like that. So he goes, as soon as my kids get to a certain age, once they get to a certain point, he goes, I think I'm going to get started in this. He goes, I'll probably reach out and I want to get going. And I said, well, you know what? I said, probably the best piece of advice that I can give you is don't wait. If you think that in a few years, after your kids have gotten to a certain age and you have more time on your hands, that you want to get started then, start now. Don't wait. But Ryan, I don't know if I've got the time between work and my kids and their sporting events and school and everything else. I don't know if I got the time. I said, well, sure you do. I'm not saying you got to go all in today. I understand what it takes when you have kids. Like I mentioned at the start of our show, I didn't think this show was going to happen. We had a little bit of an emergency with our 6-year-old. I wasn't even sure that this show was going to happen tonight. I get it. I understand. Things come up. Things happen. But like I told this gentleman in the store today, I'm like, look, I'm not saying start today and you got to devote 60 hours a week to it. What I'm saying is, if you think that in a few years you want to get started with this, because you'll have the time, your kids will be grown and they'll be out of the house, start today. If you can give just an hour or 2 hours a day, get started with it. Start learning the information. Start putting things out there. By the time the kids are gone, by the time they're grown and out of the house, you will be where you want to be. You will have learned what you needed to learn. You will have implemented and taken action on what you learned. You will start to see results from that. And as I was talking with him, I said, I know that as you're doing these things with your kids, it's expensive. The coaching sessions, the practice sessions, the traveling. So even if you could put an hour or two a day right now into it, and you could start to build a residual income, a passive income, say of even just a few hundred or even a couple of $1,000s a month, would that not help you offset those expenses? For the traveling teams, for the coaches, for the practice sessions. So don't wait until later. Like I said, that's probably one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give to anybody is don't wait until later. Start now. And again, going back to the fact that yes, we have many different programs that we promote and talk about. Because these are all different paths and roadways that Megan and I have taken to get to where we're at. I wish I could tell you that there's a one-all thing that's going to do it for you. But we're constantly learning different things from different programs and different people. And yes, we have different programs for different people. Different price points. If you can't afford a $6,000 program, that's okay. That doesn't mean that you can't get started. If you can't afford $2,500 for a program, that's okay. There's still other ways to get started. But depending on what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve, where you want to be, how fast do you want to get there, that's going to tell you. That's going to be the telltale sign of where you need to be at to make an investment. Yes, I've preached it before. You can Google the crap out of this stuff. You can YouTube until you're blue in the face and learn all kinds of information. And you can freebie your way through this. It may take you 10 years to get there. You may fall on your butt several times of failure. Because there's so much information out there, a lot of people get overwhelmed, they get confused. Now, even when you buy in at a $2,500 program, a lot of people get confused and overwhelmed. It's about figuring out what you want to do, how you want to get there, what are your goals, what are you trying to achieve, how fast do you want to get there. A lot of us, for me, I know, I didn't have the luxury of saying, okay, well, I can give this a couple of years. I'd already been out of a job for 5 months. I didn't have the luxury to say, all right, well, I can kind of get going with this and piddle around with it for a little bit and take a couple of years to get there. Now, I've also preached that this is not get rich quick, so I knew that I wasn't going to be able to go out there, put all this content out there, and then within a month or a couple of weeks, be raking in what I'm seeing all these other people do, $20,000, $30,000 a month. I knew that that wasn't going to be the case, but I didn't need that. For me, I was just trying to get a couple $1,000s a month to replace the income that I lost when I lost my job. And I knew that that was going to take some time, and that's okay. Everybody kept telling me 6 to 12 months. And at that time, 6 to 12 months seemed like an eternity. When you don't have an income and you got a family dependent upon you, 6 to 12 months feels like an eternity. I promise you. But now looking back at it, 6 months is nothing. 6 to 12 months is nothing. It goes by like that. Those of you with kids, you know. 6 to 12 months is nothing. I understand that now. And even as I look back at our time frame and what we were able to accomplish in the time frame that we did, it's amazing. And I'm so very blessed and fortunate that we had that success. And I know that others out there can have that same success. But for us to get to that quicker success, yes, we had to invest in learning certain things. We invested in a program. Even though 5 months without a job, without an income, it's like, man, I got to figure out how to do this. And again, something that I learned in this book right here that started it off was the fact that I can't afford it was how can I afford it? I had to change how I was thinking about things. So we figured out a way. We figured out a way how to survive and how to be able to invest in ourselves and in programming and education to figure out how to get this thing going. And within 8 months, we had a 6-figure income. That's absolutely awesome. Wouldn't have got there if I'd gone out and I'd Googled and YouTubed and Yahooed and whatever else is out there. Would have never happened. But even after that first investment in that first program, and we started to get things going, money started to come in, it's awesome. We didn't take that money and go blow it here and go blow it there and do all these different things. We took that money and we reinvested in our business. And what I found out was we had to continue to invest in education. We had to continue to invest in mentors. You know, one mentor that we thought, all right, cool, we'll invest. The first mentor that we had, we invested in, turned out to be no good. Wasn't what we needed. Sometimes that happens. But that doesn't mean that I took every bit of everything that we earned from our business and dumped it back into it. No, we enjoyed things. We started taking more vacations and more trips and taking our kids to Disney World. We enjoyed ourselves, but we also knew that we couldn't take what it was that we were earning and just go out and blow it on different things, or even when bills would come as we were first getting started and that money started to come in, I'd put some things on hold. I'm like, nope, I need this for my business. If I want my business to keep going, I got to reinvest some of this money into my business. Whenever I was out of a job for 5 months, those same bills that, I was so eager to go ahead and get paid up whenever that money started coming in, I'm like, man, I got to get those paid. But you know what? 5 months, they lasted. They were okay. Let me take this money and reinvest it into my business so I can get going with things and really get going, get where I want to be. James. Yes. James Dwayne asks, so you made $100,000 in your first 8 months? Yes, sir. Yes, we did. We actually, James, and I forgive me because I don't know if you're new here. I've told this story several different times, but yeah, as I've stated in the broadcast, my goal when we first started with this was just to make $2,000 a month, and that was it. Within our first 3 months, we hit our first 5K month, and that was absolutely amazing. It made a believer out of me with this stuff. And I've said this time and time again, I can sit here and talk about what we've made, what we've done, and how you can be successful with this, but I promise you, until you see the success yourself, you will always be in doubt. You will always have skepticism. I get it. I did too. I kept seeing people talk about, $5, $10, $20, $30,000 months, and I'm like, gee, what? I just need $2,000 a month. That's all I want. So when we hit 5K in our first 3 months, it was absolutely amazing. But I was a believer at that point. I knew what we were doing was working, and I knew that if I continued on with that, great things were in front of us. But again, like I said, some of that money, as it started to come in, we took it and we reinvested into different things. We still continue to this day to invest in programs. Just a few 3 or 4 months ago, we invested in another program to level ourselves up even more. And I think that really is the topic for tonight. Because, as I mentioned earlier, people want to know how to get started. There are many different ways to get started. Like I said, I've got links all over everywhere. I've got links that go to pages that say click here to start. But if you truly want to get started, you want the information, you want to have what we have. Because we talk about this all the time. Go out and find somebody that has the lifestyle that you want. Go find somebody that has done the things that you want to do. You do not have to reinvent the wheel here, folks. You think what Megan and I did was we were trailblazers and we, were the pioneers of everything that we did? Heck no. Heck no. All we did was follow other people. We did what other people had already done. Have we had failures? Yeah. But that's how we've learned. Have we had bumps in the road and roadblocks, and has this roller coaster had its ups and downs? Heck yeah, it has. But we continue to learn. We continue to fail forward if we happen to fail. And that's what it takes to really get started. You have to be willing to accept failure. I know very early on when we first started talking with people, before we had really any kind of failures or anything like that, people would always ask me, well, what if I fail? And to be honest, I really wasn't sure how to answer those questions when people would ask me that. And to be honest, I don't really remember in the beginning what I would tell people. It was probably something like, well, don't be scared to fail, Don't be scared to fail because, many people do. But I know what my answer is now. Anytime somebody asks me or says, well, Ryan, I'm afraid I'll fail, my response is, you will. You will fail. And that's okay. Because it's from those failures that we learn how to be successful. And we continue to be successful. And again, if you buy into a program and it doesn't work for you, that's okay. It happens. But you learn things from it. Even that coach that I said that Megan and I, that first coach, that first mentor that we paid. And we're like, this isn't helping us. This isn't what we need. We didn't learn a whole lot of information, but you know what we learned? What not to do. So even if that's the only positive that came from that, that's a positive. So again, going back to how do I get started? It depends again on your goals, what you're trying to achieve, and ultimately a time frame. And this is what I tell people now. If you have a certain time frame that you're trying to do this in, that's really going to depend on which road, which path we're going to recommend for you. If you absolutely cannot invest anything, maybe just a few bucks, enough to buy you a value meal at McDonald's, then we've got a road for you to get you started. It may take you a little bit longer, and hopefully you've got time. If you want to get there quicker and you're able to invest, we've got a path for you. I always reference this to, look, investing is like deciding how you want to get across the country. There's many different ways to get from the East Coast to the West Coast. The first and the easiest, well, I'm not going to say it's the easiest. The first thing that you could do is you could walk. By Lord, that's not going to be easy. But it's not going to cost you much. You can walk from the East Coast to the West Coast. It's going to take you a whole lot of time to get there. You could invest a little bit of money and you can drive from the East Coast to the West Coast. Now you're going to get there quicker than if you walk, and it's going to take a little bit of money. You're going to have fuel, but it's going to save you some time if you drive from the East Coast to the West Coast. That's like investing in a program to help you get started. Now, if you ask me, the best way to do it is to hop my little butt on an airplane and fly from the East Coast to the West Coast. It's going to save me a whole lot of time. But yes, I'm going to have to invest some money. It's going to cost me more to do that. But by gosh, that's going to be the quickest way for me to get through to my journey. And we tell people that's the same thing as you do this and you start your business. Where are you at? What are you trying to accomplish? And what is your time frame? Those are going to be the things that are going to help you make those decisions. And again, we've got recommendations for going all these different ways. You can walk to that 6 figures, you can drive to that 6 figures, or you can freaking fly to a multi-6-figure income. Just depends on what you're ready to do and what you're willing to do. That's what it comes down to. And again, we wrap this back up with it's mindset. What are you truly willing to do and want to do? So, all right. James, he goes, goals are to make 10K a month in 6 months. Got $2,000 to invest in a course ASAP. What do you recommend? All right, James. We have something for you. We have one of our products. If you will go and you will check out on our links, I think on our Facebook, my personal Facebook page, if you check out the meganandryan.com/links, check out the link that says where we got started. That's going to be the best course of action for you, James. And I can actually reach out to you. I know our messages have been swamped here lately. We are trying our best to keep caught up with those. We can also reach out to you directly in a direct message, James. I think we've already started a conversation at one point in time, but we can definitely help get you going in the right direction. Facebook user. I think this might be Rich. Goal is to make $3K a month as soon as possible. And Rich, I know you're kind of going down the path that we got started with. I think you started with the $7, the 15-day challenge, and that's an amazing program to get started with. Okay? Keep coming to these lives. Keep asking questions. That's a big thing. That's a huge thing, is to ask questions. Subi says, my goal is $2,000 a month. With that, I live easy. You know, again, that was our goal when we got started, and those are all obtainable goals. Definitely obtainable goals. It's just a matter of figuring out the right path to get you there. Again, keep coming to these lives. Megan and I, we do these power hours every Monday and Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. You know, the last few, it's been just me. Megan is taking it easy a little bit right now. But every Monday and Wednesday, we're here for you guys. I would love to see you guys come in with questions. You know, when Megan and I work in our coaching program, one of the first things that we do when we get in those Zoom calls with our students, we don't do a whole lot of talks like what we've done tonight. We started off with, all right, who's got questions? Drop your questions in the comments. Throw a Q in there. Drop your questions. That's what we're here for. You know, when you can get to that point where you can ask those questions, that's when you'll start to find you're taking the right steps. You're progressing in your business. And I love it, Sandy. Don't wait. Find a way. Invest in yourself. She's exactly right. If you are in the situation where you need to make this work, don't wait. Invest in yourself. Subi says, what hardware to start? My man, a cell phone is all you need. A cell phone is all you need, honestly. You know, as I sit here in front of you guys now, yes, I've got a fancy studio. I've got lights that change colors, and I've got cameras, and I got light rings, and all this stuff. We didn't start out this way. We didn't start out with all this stuff. We started out with a simple phone. Now, I will say, if you're starting out and all you've got is a phone, do yourself a favor and get you a tripod. Spend 10, 15, 20 bucks on a tripod that you can use. But once you've got that in your phone, it doesn't take much. Hardware-wise, it doesn't take much. People don't need fancy, flashy stuff. Your cell phone camera will work just fine. I know when we first got started, I'm a bit of a techie guy. I'm a geek. I'm a Geek Squad type of guy. I gotta have, you know, the techie type stuff. But that's the way I've always been all my life. I've always enjoyed that type of stuff. When we first got started, Megan was kind of like, all right, she would pull back on the reins or the noose around my neck and say, all right, nope, we can wait on that. We can wait on that. We don't need that right now. And she's right. You can get started with just a phone. Doesn't take a whole lot. Laptop, phone. So, like Sandy said, you just have to get going. You got to find a way. You have to go. If this is truly what you want, yeah, just find your way and get started. And again, coming to these power hours, coming to the Rise with the Wealth Warriors on Thursdays that we have, which, by the way, this week, we're doing it at 11 a.m. Central Time on Thursday. You'll have me and the other Wealth Warrior coaches. Come to the lives. Ask questions. Ask questions in our Facebook group. Ask questions on our Facebook pages. Post questions. When we do our coaching calls and we first start off with, hey, drop your questions in the comments, we always follow that up with, look, if you don't have questions, then you're truly not working in your business. And I believe that. I honestly believe that because I've been there. I did the same thing. I would show up to calls and things going, no, I don't have no questions. I didn't. No, I'm good. Everything's fine. I'm doing what I need to do. That was a bunch of BS. I knew I wasn't working in my business, or what I was doing was busy work. to convince myself that I was working in my business, but I really wasn't. It wasn't until I really truly started saying, hey, how do I do this? This is what I've done. Is this good? Is this bad? Where's my next step? Why is this not working? Even though sometimes for me this was tough because, if you pay for a course, all right, you pay for a course and you get the opportunity to ask questions of somebody that created that course. For me, I felt like if I asked a question, somebody just say, well, you should know that. It's in the course. Why didn't you watch that? Or here's where it's at. And so in the very beginnings, I didn't want to ask questions. And I have a feeling that there are a lot of you out there that feel the same way. But I promise you, it wasn't until we started asking questions on the regular, that's when the needle started to move in our business. And I personally had to get past the point of saying, all right, well, I feel like this is a stupid question. As we always say now, there is no stupid question. The only stupid question is the one that you don't ask. So if you're truly working in your business, you're going to have problems. You're going to have questions. You're going to want to know what to do. And these are the places where you can go and you can ask those questions. Yes, we do these lives to talk about our lifestyle and what we're doing and how things have worked for us. And we talk about our story and things like that. But we're also here to help you guys. We're here to help you answer those questions that you have so that you can move forward in your business. So, all right, it is already been an hour. Man, sometimes these things fly by. All right, so again, there's a lot of ways to get started with this. Obviously, you can go check out the links that we've got posted on our Facebook pages and in our groups and on our profiles and all this different stuff on TikTok and everywhere else. If you're really, truly wanting to get started and you've been watching us tonight and you're like, all right, it's time. I got to get going on something, and you haven't reached out to us, drop me a hashtag Earn with Megan and Ryan in the comments, even if you're watching this on a replay. And I'll be happy to reach out with you in a direct message, and we can chat about what's the best option for you. Because even though we have people that will reach out to us and, hey, I've got this, I got that, if we really feel that we can help you, we will help you. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I've turned people away, and it wasn't a money thing. It wasn't a, didn't think that I could help them sort of thing. Sometimes we may not feel that we're a good fit. That's why we reach out in direct messages. We want to chat with you. We want to talk with you. We want to see kind of where your goal's at. I've had plenty of people come up and say, hey, I got 10 grand to drop. I want to be making $30,000 next week. I'm not working with you. That's not what this is about. Okay? But if you're truly wanting to get going and get the success that you're looking for, drop me that hashtag Earn with Megan and Ryan in the comments. We'll reach out to you. We'll see where you're at. We'll see what we can do to help you guys. Again, keep coming to these lives. Again, every Monday and Wednesday night we have the Power Hour. Every Thursday we have Rise with the Wealth Warriors, where I'm with the other coaches in the Wealth Warrior program and the team. Okay? This week it happens to be at 11 a.m. Central. Next week it'll be 7 p.m. Central. Okay? We alternate evenings and mornings with the Wealth Warrior show. So, again, feel free to drop your questions or reach out. If you're like me, and maybe you're a little bit too embarrassed to ask a question here on a live, send me a direct message. Ask me a question. Happy to help. Okay? All right, guys. Again, appreciate you guys being here. If you have any questions and you're watching this on the replay, make sure you drop us that hashtag replay. Go ahead and drop those questions in the comments. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. We do appreciate it. We'll catch you guys this Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Time for our next Power Hour. Thank you guys and have a wonderful Monday evening, and we'll see you in a